Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about building AI that actually remembers you. We're diving into how you can create apps that learn from your chats and even, get this, your own private documents.
You ever been talking to a chatbot and you just get that feeling like you're starting from scratch with every single message? It's super frustrating, right? Well, that frustration boils down to one fundamental problem. Most of these systems are built with absolutely no memory.
So, here's the deal. A standard API call is what tech folks call stateless. Basically, it treats every single thing you say as a brand new conversation. It has zero clue about what you just said a second ago. But think about it. A real conversation doesn't work that way, right? It's a flow. For that, you need a stateful system, something that actually remembers the context from beginning to end.
So to fix this whole memory issue, the tools we use to build AIs, well, they've had to evolve. Let's take a quick walk through that journey.
All right, so in the early days, it was super basic. You type something in, you get something out. No history. That's it. Then came the Chat Completion API, which was a huge step up in power. But, and this is a big but, with that power came a whole new headache. The entire job of managing the conversation's memory, it fell right onto the developer's lap.
And trust me, this was a huge deal. It meant that developers, maybe people like you, had to build these really complex, kind of clunky systems just to remember a simple back and forth. You literally had to package up every single thing the user said, every single thing the AI replied, and send that entire history back to the API with every single call. It was a massive pain.
Okay, so OpenAI saw this problem, and their answer is the Assistants API. And it's a really elegant solution. It's built on 3 core ideas that work together to handle all that messy stuff for you.
First up, you've got the assistant. The easiest way to think about this is as the AI's permanent brain. It's like its job description. You only have to create it once, and that's where you define its whole personality, its instructions, what tools it can use, things like you are a helpful math tutor who explains things step by step.
Next, we have the thread. If the assistant is the brain, the thread is the conversation's memory. Think of it like a dedicated notebook for each user that stores the entire chat history. And the key word here is persistent. You can walk away, come back hours or even days later, and the conversation is right there waiting for you.
And finally, the third piece of the puzzle is the run. The run is the engine. It's the active process that takes the assistant's brain, looks at the whole conversation in the thread, and then it generates the next smart response.
So when you put it all together, the flow is actually super simple but really powerful. First, you create your assistant, the brain, and a thread for a user, the notebook. Then you add the user's message to that thread. And here's the magic. You run the assistant. That run processes everything and then automatically adds the AI's reply right back into that same thread. The memory stays perfectly intact and you barely had to do a thing.
And this is the crucial part. All of that complicated history management, all that state tracking we were talking about, it gets kicked off with this one simple line of code. You just say, hey, use this thread and this assistant. And that's it. OpenAI handles all the heavy lifting on their end. It's just incredibly powerful.
Okay, so our AI now has a memory. That's a total game changer, right? But what about knowledge? What if you need your AI to be an expert on stuff it was never trained on?
Yeah, exactly. How can an AI possibly know about your company's private documents or analyze some brand new research paper? How could it answer questions about your personal project files? This is where we get into a really cool technique for giving your AI specialist knowledge.
Okay, it's a bit of a mouthful, but stick with me. Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. In plain English, what you're doing is giving the AI its own private library of documents to read before it answers your question. It retrieves the important info first, and then it generates a response based on what it just read.
And the best part? With the Assistants API, this is unbelievably easy. You don't have to go build some complex search system yourself. You literally just upload your files, PDFs, text files, whatever, and attach them directly to your assistant.
But how does that actually work? I mean, how does the AI find the exact right paragraph from thousands of pages of documents, like instantly? Well, the process going on behind the curtains is pretty clever.
Okay, so what's happening behind the scenes is that the Assistant API is doing all this heavy lifting for you. It takes your documents, it breaks them up into smaller, manageable chunks, then it turns each chunk into a set of numbers, a vector embedding, and organizes all of them in a super optimized database. So when you ask a question, it converts your question into a vector too, and then does a lightning-fast search to find the document chunks with the most similar vectors. Those super relevant chunks are then handed to the model as context to give you a really precise answer.
And we're not just talking about 1 or 2 files here. An assistant can be given a knowledge base of up to 10,000 files in what's called a single vector store. So you can create a true expert in your specific field armed with this massive library of your own private information.
So if you take one thing away from this, it's what a massive leap forward the Assistants API really is. With the old chat completion API, you had to manage everything. It was all on you. But the Assistants API, it handles the state for you. It gives you persistent, stateful conversations right out of the box. And on top of all that, it comes with these amazing built-in tools like Code Interpreter and that incredible RAG capability we just walked through.
And that really brings us to the most exciting part, doesn't it? When you combine persistent memory with custom private knowledge, you unlock a whole new world of possibilities. You could build personalized tutors that remember a student's progress, or expert assistants that know your company's data inside and out. The tools are officially here. So the question is no longer if you can build the next great AI application, but what will you build